Okay, guys, so now what we want to talk about is our yes questions. We went through the meet and greet, we went through the qualifying questions, we narrowed down selection with the customer. Our next thing that I want to talk about is our yes questions, okay? Now, yes questions are going to happen the whole way through your sale, all right? So, two different ways we're going to have this is you're going to have a used car, you're going to have a new car, okay? So say we had Jim and Susie who were on the new Altima that picked one out with the alloy wheels. They wanted the sunroof and they wanted the good gas mileage, okay? I'm going to do what we call is slot the car. On the new car side, you slot the car before the demo. On the used car side, you slot the car after the demo. Now, what slotting the car means is you either pull the car up or you pull the car out of the spot, wherever you're at on the lot. And on the new car side, you slot the car right here, and you start going over the features and the benefits and the bells and the whistles and things like that. We want to do that on the new car side before we take a demo drive to get the people excited, okay? Now, again, there's different hot buttons for every customer. The hot buttons for one guy might be the sunroof and the alloy wheels. It might be the leather and the heated seats. It might be the navigation, the Bose. It might be the safety. It might be the gas mileage. And again, this is all the information that we picked up in our qualifying questions when we started off, right? So, still talking about Jim and Susie, we pulled the new Altima up, right? And I take Jim over, and I knew gas mileage was important with him because, again, we're the pros and we remembered that, right? So we walk over to the window lid and we say, hey, Jim, the Altima here gets 25 city and 32 highway. Do you do more city or highway? And he says, I do a combination of both. Now, I don't say to Jim, well, here's the gas mileage. Oh, and the combined is 28. I finish that up with what I call a yes question. Now, guys, one thing with a yes question is the more a customer says yes to you in the meet and greet, in the slotting of the car, on the demo drive, the more times a customer says yes, the more better chance you have of selling them a car. So I say to the guy, I say, hey, Jim, you get 25 and 32. Do you do more city or highway? And he says, I do both. And I say, great, Jim, you can see right here your combined gas mileage is going to be 28 miles per gallon. That's pretty good gas mileage, wouldn't you say? And Jim's automatic response is going to be, yeah, that is pretty good gas mileage. So I just got my first yes out of Jim, right? Now, I say to him, I stand back and I say, hey, Jim, I know you wanted the one with the alloy wheels. I don't say to Jim, what do you think about those alloy wheels? Here's why I don't say that to Jim, because that's not necessarily a yes question. I'm saying to Jim, hey, you can tell me yes or no. Now, if I say to Jim, if I turn that question just a little bit and I say to him, Jim, those sure are nice alloy wheels, aren't they? I got about a 95 better chance of Jim saying yes because I loaded his lips with, those sure are nice alloy wheels, aren't they? So Jim says yes. I just got another yes out of Jim. And then I sit Jim in the car and we're looking at some things. I say, hey, Jim, look up. And he looks up and he sees the moonroof. And since I know that was important to him, I already had it open when I pulled around. And I say, Jim, that sure is going to be nice having that moonroof, isn't it? And Jim says, yeah, I really like that. Now, Jim's getting excited about the car. And I just, in about a minute and a half, I asked him 3 questions, and I got yeses out of him. I asked him about the gas mileage being good. Wouldn't you agree? And he says, yes. And I say, Jim, those sure are nice alloy wheels, aren't they? And he says, yeah, they are. And then I say to him when we're sitting in the car, look up, Jim. That's going to be nice having that sunroof, isn't it? And Jim says yes, right? Now, I tell Jim about the CVT transmission, and I tell him some safety things because I'm sure that's important to him, and I get him pretty excited about the vehicle. Now, on my slotting of the car, guys, this is where a demo is set up. A demo drive is so important. Some of the guys in the old car business used to say, the feel of the wheel is half the deal. Our goal here is to get a customer to demo a car. Okay? Statistically speaking, we sell 54 to 60% of demos, which means, as a salesperson, if you demo 2 cars, you're selling at least one of them. So the demo is so important. So how do I set the demo up without saying to the guy, hey, Jim, do you want to take it for a ride? Because as soon as I say that to Jim, I give him the option. I put the ball in his court, and Jim says, no, I don't need to drive it. I just want to see the numbers first. Now, Jim says that because I gave him the option to say that. Now, what the pro does, what we do here is, when we're slotting the car and we're showing him the new Altima, and we're doing the walk around, and I'm going to say to him about the CVT transmission, and I'll say, Jim, the CVT transmission, you're going to really like the way that feels when we take it for a ride. Now, I just set up a demo. No, I didn't stop there. I said, you're really going to like that when we take it for a ride. And the other nice thing I think you're going to notice is, because you went from a steel wheel going to an alloy wheel, you're going to find it to be a lot nicer and smoother ride. And the sunroof is actually very quiet when we're driving down the road. Again, you'll hear that when we're taking it for a ride. And then I'm going to continue my walk around, and I'm going to come over and say, hey, Jim, how do you like your seat? A little higher or a little lower? And I'm going to have Jim sitting there. And he likes it a little higher. And I'm going to say, well, your power seat right here, just pull up. And do you have a nice view? Can you see everything whenever we take it for a ride? And Jim says, yes. Now, I've already told Jim 3 or 4 times that we're going to take a demo drive. We're going to take it for a ride without telling him or without saying to him, hey, Jim, would you like to take it for a ride? So I've already set the demo drive up, right? So far I've gotten Jim to say yes on the sunroof and yes on the gas valve and yes on the alloy wheels, right? And we get out on the highway and we start driving down the road. Now, there's a couple different questions that we can ask here. We can say, hey, Jim, do you like the way the car drives? Or we can say, hey, Jim, car sure does drive nice, doesn't it? And just by asking the simple question of, car sure does drive nice, doesn't it? The guy says, yeah, it does. Probably feel a big difference with those alloy wheels on there versus the steel wheels, can't you? And Jim says yes. Now, guys, if we let Jim answer without loading his lips, we don't know what the answer is going to be. And again, as the pro, we always want to know what the answer is, right? So we ask the guy, hey, Jim, sure does drive nice, doesn't it? And Jim says yes. So, guys, just in a couple minutes, I've gotten 5 yeses from the guy, and I have him driving already, okay? And I say, now, Jim, I know you said the vehicle is for you. Are you guys both going to be driving the vehicle? And Susie might say, I might be driving it a little bit. So I keep that in the back of my mind, knowing that I want Susie to drive as well, because, again, she's going to be part of the decision-making process. She's here with Jim for a reason, okay? So my goal here is to pull over somewhere on the demo drive and not tell them why we're pulling over. Okay, so we take it for the demo drive, and then I've asked Jim if he likes the way it drives, and sure does drive nice, doesn't it? And he says yes. And I said, probably can feel a big difference with them alloy wheels on there, can't you? And he says, yeah. And I said, sunroof's pretty quiet, isn't it? And he says, yeah, it sure is. So just in a 5-minute demo drive down the street, he's already said yes to me 3 times on the lot and 5 times on the demo drive. I've gotten 8 yeses out of him. So down the road, maybe by the the Mountain View Inn or whatever, he said, hey, Jim, do me a favor. Go ahead and pull right into this parking lot right over here. And guys, we have control of the sale so far because we did a proper meet and greet. We asked the right qualifying questions. We found the right selection. We've had the guy say yes 8 times so far. So now when I ask him to go ahead and pull in the parking lot, Jim's going to go ahead and he's going to pull into the parking lot. And I'm going to say, jump out for a minute and let's take a look around the car. And they don't know what we're doing. We take a walk around the car. And I say to her, hey, Susie, come over here for a minute. And Susie comes over, and I say, hey, sit right there, because I know you're not going to be driving the car much, but just to see if you feel comfortable in it, right? And I get Susie's seat set up. I don't tell her that she's going to take it for a ride yet. I say, just sit in here to see if you're comfortable. And I get her set up in there, and I say, hey, what the heck, since you're in here, and I just shut the door, and I go, Susie's going to take it for a drive. Now, Jim, go ahead and jump in the front. I'll jump in the back, okay? Now, they just do it because I didn't say to them on the demo ride. The non-pro says on the demo ride, the non-pro says, hey, Susie, would you like to drive? Guys, the answer to that's going to be, no, don't worry about it. I'm fine. Guys, you need to have both people drive the car. This is so important. So just by simply asking some yes questions, and now we have control of the sale, and then we say to him, hey, Jim, go ahead and pull right over here. And Jim does, and I say, hey, jump out for a second. Let's just take a look around the car and see if you have any questions. And we kind of jump out. And I say, hey, Susie, while you're out, come here real quick. And Susie comes over, and I put her in the seat, and I get her seat set up, and I say, just to make sure you're comfortable in it and you can see out of it. And I say, hey, while you're in there, why don't you go ahead and take it for the rest of the drive on the way back? And I shut the door, and I tell Jim, go ahead and jump up front, I'll jump in the back. Okay, guys, and just that simple, I set up a demo drive with the wife, just by not simply saying, hey, Susie, do you want to drive the car? Because as the non-pro, if I say, hey, Susie, do you want to drive the car while we're going 50 miles an hour down the road? Susie's going, no, don't worry about it. That's okay. So, guys, I set up the demo drive with the wife. Okay? Now, Susie's driving the car because I put her in it like the pro that I am. And now I start asking Susie the same questions. Hey, Susie, drives nice, doesn't it? She says, yeah, this car sure does drive nice. And then I say, hey, Jim, you better be careful. Susie's going to be trying to take your new car all the time. And they kind of laugh and chuckle about it. But guys, I'm giving them mental ownership. On the demo drive, I'm giving them the mental ownership, saying, hey, Jim, you better be careful. Susie might like this car so much, she might give you her car, and she's going to be driving the new Altima. And they laugh and chuckle about it. And Jim says, no, this one's for me. Guys, as a salesperson, I'm smiling ear to ear right now because I just gave this guy mental ownership just by simply asking yes questions, and the guy starts hearing yes, 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 right? And then all of a sudden Susie's driving the car and she's hearing yes, yes, yes. And I make a joke about it, about Susie taking Jim's new car, and they both kind of laugh about it, and Jim says, no, 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 this is my new car, guys. I just gave him mental ownership for this vehicle, right? So now, this is where a couple things happen, okay? Now, on the new car side and on the used car side, the service walk, okay? The service walk is so important. Now, someone would say, well, what's a service walk? A service walk is so important to a customer because, again, guys, these people spend, an hour or two with you, and they buy the car, and then someone from there on out is going to have to be servicing their vehicle, all right? Now, the guy that is going to be servicing their vehicle, they need to know who it is. So, and our service departments are so set up that they go along with it too. So we, if we're on the Nissan side, we pull in down at Nissan, right? And we pull in to the service bay, and we say, hey, this is the Nissan service. This is where you're going to bring your car to get your first oil change at, and the rest of your oil changes. And I'm giving the guy mental ownership, telling him, this is not only your new car, this is where you're going to be servicing it at. And I jump out and I introduce him. Hey, this is Tim Kane. And I say, hey, Tim, this is Jim and Susie, and they're looking to get a new Altima today. And again, Tim says, then, well, congratulations to you guys. That's exciting. Well, here's one of my cards. When y'all need your first oil change or any service or anything like that, feel free to give me a call. I just gave this guy mental ownership.